Be free, be free. Well, hello everybody. How you doing? You know, you got to love Cat Stevens, man. I'll tell you, I remember as a teenager, T for the Tillerman, album moved me. It was profound, as they would say. Just I love those lyrics. If you want to be free, be free. You can be anything you want to be. There's 1,000 choices that you could make. Yeah, I mean, folks, no matter what the situation is, no matter what we are, no matter what the future may hold, the one thing about it is that we can soar on the lyrics of a simple guitar, a frequency, or harmonic. And it puts us into a state of consciousness that rises above the muck and the mire and the confusion, because we can look upon ourselves and say, we're beautiful. We can be anything we want to be. That holds true in this plane, and it holds true in the ones to come. So hello, everybody. Far out day. So good to see you. May I just invoke favor over everybody? And I hope you had a great Saturday and Sunday. Mine was a wild weekend. Cat Stevens again. It's a wild world out there. And it's hard to get by just upon a smile, girl. Anyway, hey, Big Al, how are you doing? Gonna get Al? You're in Atlanta. Used to live right there, my friend, right off Interstate 75 in Windy Hill Road, right there in Marietta. Know it well. Hello, Lois, Cajun Queen Tarot. So good to see you. Twisted Isby, Ken, good to see you, my friend. Karen, going to get Karen, Queen of Quartz, on here. Robert V, so good to see you. Susie Q, think agape love always. David Barry, my brother, good to see you, my friend. Otis Wilson, love it, love it, love it, love it. That is just far out. You got to dance, folks. And even when you have whatever the heck it was, a visitation, a journey, a lucid dream. It wasn't a lucid dream. This was a little different. But in any case, you know, the thing about it is, it was the most pleasant experience. The visitor, you'll see, very polite, had great manners. And I think that reflects within us. It really does. At least that's my opinion. So how are y'all doing? Good to see you. Hey, Sarah. Good to see you. Sun Rabbit. Eric Green, happy belated birthday to you, my friend. I think his birthday was on Friday. So everyone, give Eric a happy birthday and a belated one on top of that. Anyway, glad to have you here, Eric, amongst us. Richard, good to see you. Julianne Payne from Down Under. Much love to you, my dear. Mike Taylor, good to see you, buddy. Karen, hello. Grandpa, Brian, good to see you, my friend. Landon, Eye of the Maelstrom, ain't that the truth? Sweet Loretta, there we go. Jolie, good to see you. Kaylee, and Deborah, and Diana, good to see you. David Castle, thank you for the email. Nina the Mystic, how are you doing, my dear? Good to see you. Constant, much love to you. Max Vision Remote View class. Love it. We're going to get into more of that. Yeah. Still got the song going in my head. If you want to be free, be free. Energy Arts, good to see you. Well, I'll tell you, if someone approved that, I'll do that. Absolutely. Send me an email. Be honored to. Be fun. And hey. So much going on. Got to tell you, Sunday was Sunday. I mean, wow, yeah. The mamas and the papas sang the song Monday, Monday, you know that? Well, my hand can say is Sunday. It was weird. The automatic writing was a strange one. I don't know if it was automatic. According to my wife, who is a skeptic of skeptics, it keeps you grounded, It really does. So it was like a trance state. Yeah. Like I wasn't here, but I was typing. Yeah. So anyway, what's going on? Sunday, bloody Sunday. Well, I wasn't thinking quite from that way, Big Al, but yeah. Hey, Paul, good to see you from Newcastle. Good to see you. B3, hello. Man, there's so many people in here. So anyway, got some things I'll show you a little bit. I'll just get right to it because we can pick up afterwards. So Sunday morning was a real experience. It was different. I'm versed to having OBEs. It's not scary to me. It's not something that the darkness doesn't frighten me. It's just a form of light. We've been trained, or I don't know, self-taught, however you want to phrase it, to think that darkness is nothing but bad. It's just a different color of light. That's all it is. Some would say it's the absence of light, but actually that's not true. White light would be more the absence of light. But then again, anything that we say as light is strictly limited to less than, I think at the max, 3% of the total spectrum, right? So, I mean, could you imagine having only 3% use of your hand? It would be useless. So we have to question our sight. What are we seeing? You know, I think we're going to eventually learn certain particles, certain light shifts that will actually show all the spirits. All spirits generate an electrical signal, apparently, a signature, which means that they can be seen. Animals have more of a tendency, as we know. Our pets, cats particularly, but dogs very sensitive. In fact, you know, in the Islam religion, you know, dogs, they see the jinn, whatever the evil things, and you know, you all have the same experiences. There are stories, and it's true. In nursing homes, there is more than just one story of cats. They will go into the rooms of the people that are about to depart. They are an indicator. It allows the staff in these facilities that are used to it to begin to make preparations because they know that that person is departing. They're already in the process of transition. And I think it's kind of cool. You know, you have a cat. Cat has a lot of different symbologies to it. But nevertheless, I haven't heard of any one of a dog doing that, but cats. So let's see. Sherry says, my dog sees and senses our visitors. Yeah, yeah. Oh, you had one this morning. Yeah. My dog, Dancer, she sleeps she sleeps pretty much where she wants. But, you know, we have a large bed and she sleeps up there. And, you know, she's very in tune, particularly to me. And she wasn't alarmed at all by this. So it was kind of cool. So let's rock and roll. I put this together. I wrote it down. Took about 4 hours is what it took to get it out of me. As Lynn said, I got it out. So yesterday I ended it with this. I want to read this. A personal note. This was a pleasant experience. And at no time did I feel uncomfortable. My visitor was polite and very well mannered. The visitor spoke in my consciousness. That was the weird thing. Distinct in not my thoughts. And it was different. It was, you experience, you know, it goes beyond what we recognize as telepathically, but it was definitely telepathic in it. And not with words, but with pictures and images. Never spoke a word. That what was spoken by the visitor was pictures. When I sensed it, I could see it was virtually a full apparition. I saw it standing at the foot of the bed. I knew it was a being of some kind. Didn't really concern me. That kind of took me. I was in a room with what looked like an IMAX screen. How many of you have ever seen that? That's exactly what it reminded me of. I had the distinct impression that I felt like I was in a recliner. You know, it was very strange. And the visitor was right next to me. The images spoke and seemed to be alive. Odd thing was that it was the visitor doing most of the communication. I was too engrossed in what I was seeing and hearing. Yeah, you actually hear in your consciousness. We do it all the time. Next thing I was aware, I was back in our bedroom. My wife was fast asleep and our dog was aware of something. I then looked and it was 4 a.m. We have a digital clock that shines up on the ceiling. Exactly. And the visitor was still in my consciousness and suggested that I go and write down everything of which I did. I did, albeit, as my wife said, more like a trance state while I was writing. And here is what I was shown. So, was it real? Was it a lucid dream? Was it an out-of-body experience? Who knows? I don't think it really matters in the final analysis as much as, well, what was communicated. Here we go. The new hybrid humans, they are living among us. It was so freaking plain to me. In this body, I am a hybrid. I'm not a human. We don't even know what we are. But it became very abundantly clear that we are not humans. We are hybrids. And take it for what you want, but here we go. They're here. There have been reports of them that go back to the 80s. We see more and more of it because the cameras are getting better, different full spectrums. All abductees that, particularly women, females, have reported seeing their fetuses that had been removed from them in what you would say incubation pods. Around the world, we're seeing the transformation of what we call the human races. Here's a little something. The alien races present in the world today represent a different set of forces from those who have visited humanity in the past. What I got, it's going to, well, you take it for what it is. I like this one. I believe the grays are solitary lessons of what might happen to humanity in the future if we disregard the possibility that we might have an eternal connection to a natural eternal state of existence beyond atoms. There is something beyond atoms. Our science, if we can see it and we think it already and we say, oh, this is science, understand it's only a point in time. There will be something greater. All right, so here we go. The visitation, Sunday is what I call it. It was between 1 and 3 is the best thing I can see. And this is what the visitor told me exactly what to title this. This because I wanted to say, well, what do I say to the people? What do I say to someone? And it's the colonization of Earth, folks. We got it. Yeah, you just take it for what was told to me. Phase 1 began about 10,000 years ago. All religions are based upon these events. There was no creation story as portrayed by the mindset of the rebels. Instead, it was a perversion of what actually did happen here on this planet. There are no actual humans. Never was. All humans are essentially hybrids. The book of Genesis, the Quran, the Vedic, and all other such writings are all accounts from a different point of view of the colonization of this planet, using what was here speaking of genetic material placed within humanids and monitored for tens of millennia for the development of yet a future hybrid species derived from this mixed genetic material. This is how it was done on Earth. Earth was invaded. This has happened many, many times in the past. Some were violent, some more cooperative, but nevertheless, Earth was invaded, and it will be yet to be invaded again. Our current state of being was done by advanced alien geneticists, or you could say by the gods, for that is what they are to us, gods. Humanity was never a pure species. All the races are derivatives of what was the original package. This was a gradual process with different alien races and species, sending their best scientists to Earth, for Earth is known as the laboratory of developing different life forms, testing them, cultivating them, and transplanting of new genetic material. When complete, as man developed, there were a number of critical flaws found within the mixture of genetic material. This showed up in the DNA and RNA of the creature. During the last 100,000 years, many mistakes were noted in the human hybrids. During these incubations, traits were observed. Most had very violent tendencies. The cranial development was slow. Intelligence was a problem in the more earlier experiments. Humans lacked the ability to talk, to perform complex problem solving, and interbreeding was a big problem. Early humans had an insatiable hunger for sex. They would breed with anything they could, and this resulted in a period of wild-looking and acting offsprings from these encounters. The end result was the geneticist had to destroy those versions. A culling was agreed as the best way to deal with the mistakes. From here, only those humans who were not contaminated by the mixing of their blood, the DNA, were harvested and saved. This is the flood that most hybrid humans know about today, and this was why it occurred. The moving of a planet is no big deal. Planets can be wiped as well, especially living force planets. We can discuss this later. I'm just going to continue reading. The mistakes were noted, and instead of a central lab facility, the different races decided to spread out over the planet with new labs set up in different parts of the planet, and new experiments began. Some focused on developing different pigments, different physical abilities. Some were injected with DNA from distant galaxies, which resulted in some very bizarre abilities that shocked the scientists. A race of human hybrids began to show extraordinary abilities. They became stronger in all ways, even surpassing the aliens. They, in essence, these human hybrids, became gods, with all the abilities a god would have. This was the first genetic wars. The aliens had to call in reinforcements from their home planets. It took centuries to amass the forces of these allies to build a coalition force and battle plans to deal with these new hybrid humans. In the time that was required to build the armies of the aliens, these human hybrids wreaked havoc on Earth. All the inhabitants of Earth at that time began to develop at a faster pace than in the past. Advancements in all of the sciences, astronomy, mathematics, agriculture, and other mental disciplines began to emerge, and this led to man declaring himself as God. New religions were brought forth, Some hybrids displayed remarkable powers with the mind, which led to more confusion, and eventually war broke out among the hybrids who called themselves gods. And it was at this time the galactic policing forces arrived in mass, and a great battle broke out on Earth. These events have been recorded in some cultures, for our ancestors fought in this war, and humans were killed by the millions. So many humans were killed, it took centuries for us to recover from these battles. Our creators realized their mistakes, and they spent hundreds of years removing certain genes from our DNA to ensure such an event did not happen again. The aliens during the wars with the hybrids lost many of their kind as well. Many were captured by the hybrid humans, and the humans conducted experiments on the captured aliens. And much of the information extracted from the aliens was known by only a few humans, and this was the beginning of the bloodlines of the families. The knowledge that was extracted by torture from the captured aliens was used to set up hybrid human dynasties on the earth to challenge the creators. They kept the technology to themselves, to only better themselves while the rest of humanity suffered. They used this to enslave other hybrid humans. They used the hostage aliens to gain other technology from the aliens that had been forbidden to such low-level creatures as hybrid humans. From here, these hybrids began to mimic the creators and foolishly began experiments of their own and created a class of beings you know as angels and demons. They do exist, but not to what most hybrids believe today. Hybrids see them as good and evil, not realizing neither state actually exists, and new religions were invented to replace the aliens with the gods of the hybrid humans. And these hybrid rulers were of no compassion, no mercy, only servitude to the new masters. These human hybrids learned how to enslave certain aliens and use them and their knowledge to their own benefit and to rule over the other hybrid humans. A new hybrid plan was decided to be attempted to rescue the project, meaning us. Instead of another mass extinction event, the aliens dislike failure as much as we do, but in a much different way. It is beyond our ability to comprehend how they think. It was decided to use the current mindset of the human hybrids to create a new hybrid, one that they would claim as their own, even worship, and in different parts of the earth. A messenger hybrid was developed in their lab. They abducted females and inseminated them with an alien genetic material that would give these individuals special abilities than the other hybrids. They would introduce a new paradigm of thinking, and it was hoped that the hybrid man would incorporate these principles into their psyche. Otherwise, the experiment would have to be abandoned and start over yet again. This was unacceptable for the aliens, for too much time and resources had been spent in trying to correct the flaws. The ending result of this experiment was Buddha, the Christos, and a few select others who were programmed to plant the seeds of peace instead of war. Unfortunately, this plan did not work as they had planned it. It turned out man was more advanced in ways they had not anticipated, and in the early 1200s, another war was fought. But this war was not of man's doing. No, this war was of the aliens themselves. It became known that these aliens who had been captured by the humans had managed to get a message back to their home world about what had happened to them, and were desperate for a rescue from the barbarians, us, the humans. It is told that the one who delivered that message was the Christ. And when this group of aliens confronted the other members of the council, and the council declined to intervene, a war broke out and was seen by millions of humans and was painted onto canvases as this war played out in the skies above the earth. It is spoken that the ones who had been captured by the humans were tortured and killed before their brethren could help them. These aliens vowed to get their revenge upon all human life, and they released something organic upon the earth that killed millions of people, and they have been abducting humans ever since. And the other aliens cannot and will not intervene. Woe to man, for the price has not yet been paid. It is spoken that these aliens did something to time itself. Maybe this is where the lost history of time went to. No one knows for certain, other than there is missing time from our past. Allow me to get some libation here. What my tea? Wild, isn't it? Yeah, you should have had it in your freaking head. Phase 2. Hybridization, the final colonization of Earth. In the late 1700s, a new, more aggressive plan was implemented by the alien geneticists. It must be understood that the colonization of Earth never stopped. It is proceeding as planned and is now, for some reason, been advanced. More on this later. In the late 1700s, the abductions began to intensify. Humans were brought into the labs, both on crafts and land-based facilities. DNA extractions and injections were taking place. Females were forced inseminated. Male semen was extracted and monitoring devices implanted. Many of the world leaders were abducted and injected with new genetic material. Phase 2 had started. And we're going to go back and talk about this because, anyway, let's continue. It must be understood by you, the reader, by this time in history, there were no original human templates left. All humans were now hybrids, but no humans knew this at the time. So the aliens operated with immunity, and they did not care if humans saw their crafts flying in the sky or under the water. That was not a concern. In the late 1800s, there was another encounter with another group of stellar raiders. That was the only thing I could come up with. I mean, they were not of this council. They weren't even of this group. So I turned them that, the stellar raiders, because that's what I saw. A group of stellar raiders who happened upon Earth by mistake. These aliens are not like the others that have been here for nearly 700,000 years. It is not clearly known as to what happened, but there was a battle. In fact, a very big battle took place among the aliens, and it is still ongoing, which has complicated things for the original group who are responsible for our existence. They are our creators, but they will tell you we are not complete yet. The goal is to replace and remove all of the original humans from the records, and to replace them with a more advanced hybrid species of human. And the plan is on schedule. The new arrival of aliens has drastically changed things. It is not fully understood what their mission or purpose is, but ever since their arrival, things have gotten bloodier, and it appears they have their own colonization plans, and they have plans to alter humans even more than the creators want. This is very bad news for all life on this planet. The 1900s, things go awry again. The 1900s brought many changes to the earth and humanity. There can be no argument that the 20th century brought more changes to the human condition and the planet more than any other time. The 20th century brought 2 world wars, the culling of nearly 1 billion people, economic upheavals, to man learning to fly, the splitting of the atom, to introduction of the computer age, to man leaving the earth and stepping on the moon. Man advanced at a rate that is not natural and clearly shows something else happened. That happenings had been the deliberate crashing of flying crafts known by most as UFOs. This blew me away. You take it for what it is. This blew me away, what they told me, what the visitor told me. Here's the difference between the stories that have been told are anything but actuality. It has been said that these crafts crashed in the Southwest United States after the U.S. began exploding A-bombs. The same occurred in Russia. It is just that they did not talk about it like the Americans. And that for some unknown reason, not just one or two crafts were crashing for no apparent reason, but hundreds of UFOs were crashing all over the world. For what reason, no government will say. What these governments are not saying is that according to the Pentagon in the 1960s, this was deliberate, not an accident, not a malfunction of the spacecraft, but they crashed deliberately for a reason. And that reason is not fully known or understood, but it seems that maybe something was released, a virus, an organism, a new element, not known to Earth or man, but something was happening and it seemed to have a purpose. It is reported that many of these crashes, alien bodies were found in almost every case. And each country took these bodies into their labs for experimentation and for study. What is now thought that this was done to inject something into the atmosphere that would attach itself to a living organism and inject itself into the DNA of the host. And the reason for doing such was to accelerate the colonization of the planet, to advance the hybridization of the last remaining humans of the last alteration of our hybrid species. Reports of human abductions began to appear in newspapers and magazines. The first case was the Hills, reported in the early 1960s. From there, more reports began to show up, claiming more and more people experiencing nightmares of being abducted. Then animal mutilations began being reported with reports of strange lights. All the blood being drained out of the carcasses, laser marks on the animals, and no tracks leading to or from the animals. What was not reported was the fact that this was happening to humans as well. All local police reports were monitored and censored from letting the public know that this was also happening to people. Hundreds of bodies over the last century have been discovered in wilderness areas, in cities, in people's homes, some even discovered in cars of people drained of all fluids, organs missing, and all done with precision laser cutting tools. And the other thing not reported was what was missing in their brains. The pineal and pituitary glands were removed. By all accounts, things began to change again in the 1970s. More reports began surfacing about women becoming pregnant without having intercourse, and then having their babies taken away by alien beings. More reports of young men losing time but distinct remembrances of semen being extracted from them, and more people reporting marks or areas of their bodies itching around an object right under their skin. Meanwhile, more reports from around the world with pictures of UFOs, reports of UFOs landing, coming from civilian, local police, state law enforcement agencies, and military. More missing person reports, more people capturing the aliens themselves on film and video, and more abductions. In the early 1980s, something extraordinary began to be reported, that alien children were living amongst us, and that the governments was aware of this and apparently knew of this and of the plans for the complete hybridization of the human species. The hybrid children were not the first of the genetic seeders. For throughout history, they have been inserted into tribes, clans, cultures, and societies of humanity. Many of the great leaders in our history were not just human hybrids, but hybrids that possessed altered DNA. And remember, none of us are humans. There are no true humans, only hybrids. It is just a matter of what is the codex number, which is in your DNA. It identifies which version you are and from which lab and race designation the DNA and RNA compound within you is, and if your line will be among the surviving hybrids. The rapid insertion of hybrid newborn babies has changed our world as it was meant to be and continues yet today, but with a difference. Phase 3. (2000), they live among us. Project Hybrid, that's my name for it. I didn't know what the hell to call this thing. It's happening. That's all I know. Has already been implemented, and it must be understood by all human hybrids that a new breed is now here. They are genetically different from all other human hybrids. Many childbearing females are now giving birth to a new genetic species of hybrids that contain the DNA/RNA of the change. What is the change, you ask? It is phase 3 of the colonization of planet Earth, and it has been in the development for some time. The reason for phase 3s is because we've failed. This hybrid version of humanity is flawed and cannot be fixed. And instead of a mass extinction event, which still might happen, there is that alien species we pissed off, and the new group called the Stellar Raiders. It has been decided to advance the colonization plan and implement new protocols. The alien geneticists will never stop experimenting. It is an ongoing work in progress. And when it was discovered that the current group of human hybrids cannot be repaired, they immediately went to work to create a new human hybrid using genetic material from another species, not of this world. Human geneticists have recently discovered that in the last 30 years, our DNA has changed or been altered by a staggering 7%. And they do not know why they do not know why. And that is not all that has changed. In less than 30 years, our bodies are changing. Our intellect is declining. Our immune systems are changing. And every day we seem to discover more changes. We are not all the same. And it can be reasoned that this carries over to the spiritual aspect of our existence. We are witnessing a new breed of human hybrids, ones who have no perceived soul or a soul as other humans define such, and do not show the same emotions, the same empathy for other humans, who have higher IQs than their peers, who have advanced motor skills, seem to have completely different beliefs than other humans, physically stronger, and have skills mentally much more advanced than others in their age groups. Meanwhile, we are seeing more and more of other human hybrids who are declining in intelligence, have suppressed immune systems, developing cancers faster than any other demographic age group, and are dying younger. Mankind is not who we think we are. We did not come from where we think we did. We were never created by a god of any divinity. We are not special in any sense at all. We are an experiment, and it is showing we are flawed. We are broken. We cannot be fixed. They have tried, and no one is going to fix this. There is no savior, and our version will be allowed to die out. We are being replaced even as you read this. They have control over the planet, always did, and we are not in their future plans. Our replacements are already here. They are breeding with us. They are injecting a new code into us. The colonization of Earth is happening. It is almost complete. kind of a follow-up here, and I wrote this. I said, my visitors said many others have, are, and will be getting visits. There is more to this story. I cannot tell why I know this, but there is still more to come. However, I am more certain than ever before we are being replaced by new hybrids. The hybrids are here, firmly entrenched into every aspect of what being human is. So there you go. Take it for what you want. Yeah. In a lot of ways, it answers some questions for me. I don't know. What was it real? Is the story real? I don't know. I know this. I think genetically the story is real. I think it's very real. The question is I guess one could ask is, who are the geneticists? They're not human. So much of this makes sense. I mean, I was unaware of reports of bodies, human bodies, and you can see them, they're out there, corpses found that, something's going on. And it makes sense that if they are geneticists, that's what they do. It never stops. They're obviously, and the whole idea of colonization, how I saw it was that we were the initial point of the spear, so to speak, of the colonization of planet Earth. Whoever we were modeled after, I mean, they told me that there was at one time apparently a reserve of what I would interpret as first generation true humans. They don't exist anymore. I don't know what happened. They didn't tell me. Maybe someone else will get the rest of the story. I don't know. But we humans we don't see ourselves like that, but we are. We are a colonization force. I think we're colonizing this world for someone else, not for us. It seemed very apparent to me that we're playing a role, apparently a very important role, but there's going to be someone else getting the benefit of it. So let me see what's going on in the chat room. I'm just reading in here. Hey, Judy, isn't that decolonization? Isn't that an interesting term? Yeah. Yeah. I'm just reading some of this, folks. I know in the replay, they're going, well, you'll have to see it. The chat room, I leave it up there. So, yeah. Now, like I said, I didn't get wrapped around the axle about it. I mean, it was real to me. It's like defining how, if you say, well, I love my husband. Well, you have no way of ever proving that. But you do. Yeah. Truth in me, it is all connected to the periodic tables, in my opinion. Listen, I'm not a geneticist. The complexity of genetics is, we're still infants at it. Apparently, we've been at it for a while and have really screwed some things up. And I am not buying that we're the only species here. Mankind. No. The evidence is overwhelming. There are hybrids, different. And I am sure that in a large crowd, you can be there and they're not all of you. They're not of your kind. You may have your blood that's red, but yeah. Did she? I was not aware of that. I don't watch much of Linda. That's interesting, Jill. Interesting. I'm just catching this. So, yeah. So, anyway, who knows? Could be that they got their plan. I am firmly convinced. I think that this is a colonization plan. Mankind has shown that we are incapable of running things. I mean, look at the state of confusion we're in today. This is just my opinion, but I think this council, whatever the hell they are, they have been there for a really long time. I mean, you think about it, 700,000 years. That's a long time to be here. But if you're doing a colonization of a planet with the DNA that they brought in, the genetic material, they used the humanids. That's the apes. I mean, it makes sense to me now. We know where the RH factor came in. It was part of the geneticist code. You know, no religion will address that. Well, I ain't from no monkey. How do you know? You don't even know what you're made of. Can you say you're not from a monkey? You don't know the past. That's an ignorant response. The right response would be, wouldn't surprise me. And it's true. You know, so what about the RH negative? That's exactly the point. Religion won't touch that. Christianity won't touch it. Hebrew, they won't touch it. They'll give you some cockamamie story, but they won't address it. They can't address it. It's like, well, do you think we can afford to tell them the truth? I think we figured it out, folks. I mean, I think that listen, I never gave much credence to visitors. Just didn't. And although I have seen many, many spirits, the idea of, intelligence, I mean, direct, what I would call contact. And apparently they're contacting lots of us. And it seems like those of us who are practicing in the areas of astral traveling, remote viewing, lucid dreaming, we're opening up to them and they are responding. And I wish that there was just the good ones. There are apparently, I don't know who we pissed off. These bloodline, these royal families, these nobility that we call, the New World Order. Hey, the New World Order is, can I just be very blunt? You're screwed. They're coming for you, Jack. Y'all apparently pissed off the wrong alien species. They're gunning for you. And I got something to say to the rest of the world leaders. You may think you've got this in your back pocket, but you've just been pickpocketed. They're not liking, I think, what they're seeing. And they're mad. I mean, I got that very distinctly, and I saw that. I mean, it was like, oh, crap. They're pissed. They're pissed. How do you do this? Our species, we tortured them. We extracted information out of them. They called us barbarians, and I thought it was more than interesting that the Christ, the Christos, Buddha, that these were genetically modified individuals, which, by the way, ties in perfectly, if you look at it metaphorically, from what the Christian Bible says. There's so much correlation in here that, yeah, this makes a lot of sense. They had a different package, a different genetic code. They were hybrids like us. I dealt with that when I left Christianity, because to me, it pissed me off. I mean, when I realized that even if this story was true, the thing was never human. It was a hybrid. But it never dawned on me that we would be hybrids too. And that I just simply said, well, that just makes perfect sense. And apparently, when those energies departed, one apparently carried the message back to the home planet of the group of aliens that were being held by these royals, the bloodlines. Let's see. Yeah, Jack Dreaming, it does. It does make sense. It makes perfect sense. All the metaphors make perfect sense. It's all about genetic coding. Everything, being born again, being washed of the Holy Spirit, being, all these things going in over into the Quran. The whole thing is about what I am seeing, trying to get to the original template, trying to achieve that template of man, of human, that doesn't exist anymore. And so we all strive to get back to that natural state. We must have been magnificent. I mean, we must have been something that that even the geneticists have not been able to replicate. Apparently, they lost the formula. That's my words. And they can't get the original version back. It was lost. And now I look at this 700,000 years, it makes a lot of sense. And it's all genetically. If a child is born with spinal bifida, let's say, they'll tell you that is a genetic disease. And you look at this, it's all about genetics. I've shown you in our series how the ultra rich now, what they don't understand is that they're playing right into the hand of this, whatever this is going on. I think that the new hybrids are here. And I think we're going to see it. Look how man is trying to produce a super hybrid. China, United States, Russia, and who knows else, all into the genetics now. And apparently we're genetic wars, which would make sense. To me, that's where I could see the grotesque offspring of the Nephilim. Makes perfect sense to me now. This was never about fallen angels. That was never the point. This is about the genetic alteration. And it appears that we did it to ourselves. We took knowledge that we had no understanding. You see how the metaphor works with eating of the fruit? You see how this all ties in? To me, it's very clear. I'd like to get the rest of the story. So if any of you have it, please share it. And, I was watching Brian over at Milky Way Weekly last night. And listen, folks, write down, if you're having visits, encounters, do your best to write it down. For me, this connects a lot of dots. It kind of ties into a really, like I get it now. It makes sense. And, you can go on. Listen, we can improve that aspect of our mental discipline, tying it into our spirituality, building a place for all of us over on the other side. Listen, as I look back on this, and you look at the words of the Buddhas, if you look at the words of the Christos, if you look at the other words of these great men and women of peace, and women, yes, we made them gods, goddesses. But if you can extrapolate the words, They were telling us to prepare for something over there. There is something over there. And we may not have the ability to rewrite our genetic code. That's fine. I can accept that. It is what it is. But boy, I have an opportunity here now to do something that's going to carry over to the next realm. And there is a next realm. I think that was one of the things that the geneticists were shocked with, that we had this ability. And I think the original models knew this, the original humans. They knew this. They knew that this was just a temporal plane, but it was embedded, endued with greatness. Dare I say divinity? I don't know. Well, thank you, Hadley. Good day to you from Kent Brington. Good to see you. Thank you. So anyway, all right, this has been an interesting day. You know, you take a risk when you go out there and you do this stuff. But hey, I just laid it out there. To me, I don't care. You know, it was my roller coaster ride, and I found it to be stimulating. And I think that there is a lot that I will continue to go back, and I'd love to have another visit. I don't know where this cat was from, but I know this. It was tall. And had this, I'll say it, it was this shimmering, I don't know, wouldn't call it a robe or a gown, but I definitely wouldn't call it pants either. Nano. David, I'll listen to you. Thank you, Henry. Great Scott. So many of y'all are just great people. So, anything, it was thought-provoking. Hope it gets conversations going. I mean, we're all in this, and there is a colonization taking place. I think our governments know this. I think they're aware of it. I think we can all agree that something is out of balance on planet Earth. There is a correction that needs to occur, and I think one is occurring. I really do. I do happen to believe that there is intelligence greater than man that exists beyond this planet. And I think they may be the ones who are really driving the bus. We just got to figure out where the hell they're taking us, huh? Thank you, Truth Seeker. Appreciate that. Thanks, Diana. And Lori, y'all are the best. Henry, thank you, my friend. David, thank you as well. Monkey Experiment, I love that. So, apropos, Gilbert, good to see you. Lori and Chavez. I can do that. I love how Brian does it. All right, folks. See you tomorrow with Miss Trina. Be interesting to get her take on this. Send me your emails and your thoughts. Love to get them. I mean, you know, if you've been visited, if you had a similar experience, let me know. I'd love to be able to, let's see if what they're saying. I just got a sense that I'm not the only one. I got a song in my head anyway. All right. Peace to you. Much love. Thank you, Lord. Al, be good, buddy. And PR lady, good to see you. Kayla, hello. Deborah Stone, good to. All right. I just sit there and say thank you to all of you. Thank you, moderators, you beautiful people. All you free thinkers, see you tomorrow. All right. Bye-bye.